looks like the mojo's well and truly back. Another really dominant performance today, and the margin probably could have even been a lot bigger. Or how do you sort of see the performance today?
Yeah, look, it was a really pleasing performance and something we've been building towards over a period of time. And I thought the way they played in terms of the contest, our ability to get the ball in our half of the ground, and the enormous pressure that we put on down that end of the ground, I thought was outstanding. We rate Sydney incredibly high. I know where they are on the ladder right now, but they're a team that's built of genuine substance, and they've been able to win D50 grand ball over a period of time. And I thought we really challenged that part of the game, and I thought it was an outstanding team performance.
How important was it as a backup? Such a great win last week, and then deliver like you did today.
Yeah, we've never once spoken about outcome as a footy club. Even back when we were 0-5, it was about how we could improve, how we could get better, how we could influence change within how we're playing, but also how we can improve individually, first and foremost, and then collectively as a team. And we're really fortunate right now where we're incredibly healthy, and our high-performance team and our medical team have done a great job in being able to get the list to where it is right now, and we're feeling that from a coaching perspective, you've got a lot of assets that you can, put out there and perform. So we're really fortunate with that. But as I said, we haven't spoken about outcome. It's just been a process of getting better, and with that's come the results and the change, and the boys are building some belief.
Cozzy Pickett was just sensational today, just in every aspect really, and he could have had more goals as well, more than the 5. How did you sort of see his performance?
Yeah, look, he's outstanding. He's obviously ability to be in the midfield for a large part of the game, but also to influence the scoreboard. He's a pretty special talent. I think we'll put his torp away for a little while, but he's just someone that we value so highly, and since he's come back into the team, you can see the type of effect that he has. And he's only going to keep getting better and better. He's still got a lot of work to do. He's still a young player, really, and still got so much growth in his game.
Can you speak to how hard he works to outwork his direct opponent to find the space? Because you would look down and there'd be 20 metres space around him, both in the midfield and the forward line today.
Yeah, I think that's something that people don't talk about with Cos much. He works incredibly hard. His ability to cover ground's exceptional, and obviously since he's had a full pre-season in the midfield and been able to develop that tank and that side of his game, it's just added to his game significantly and added to our team that we can actually put him in there, and his ability to win clearance but then get forward and impact the scoreboard is definitely a big plus for us.
Was there actually a silver lining in the end to his suspension at the start of the season, in the load that you were able to get into him before he started the season? Because it seemed a bit awkward during the practice games, and he couldn't really run him in the midfield for the full game, so he could get the midfielders and then to play the minutes. But did you sort of load him up with a bit extra during the suspension?
I think if you said to me, can you have Cozzy Pickett for the first 3 weeks, we would have taken it. But in some ways you're right. He had another bit of block of training to learn that part of the game that we wanted him to. But we would love to have him early in the season.
What was your message at half-time? Because you seemed really dominant, but you're still, 20 points up and missing goals and so on. What was your message to the group?
Yeah, we want to be a team that works hard unconditionally and keep creating opportunities, and we believe that's the way the game needs to be played. Sometimes you'll execute and you'll get the score on the board. Other times you won't. And we just want to be a team that just keeps showing up. And that was the part of today, is that we needed to keep showing up in the way that we want to play, work hard unconditionally, and then we'll create enough opportunities to hit the scoreboard. And that's what we did. We didn't get disappointed. I think we hit the post 4 times, in one quarter. And that's a sign of real resilience and grit within your team, that they can deal with some disappointment and they can keep playing a certain way. And that's the bit that I was so happy about today, that they were able to continue with the same mindset, the same approach, irrespective of the outcome of the scoreboard.
Obviously, your forward efficiency in recent years has been a point of contention and a topic of conversation. But today, plus 20 inside 50s, but just really even with the inaccuracy, with that in consideration, you still really capitalised on that forward, 10 goal kickers and that forward dominance.
Yeah, look, I think it's nearly something like 38 to 40 shots at goal if you include the misses. our ability, Troy Chapman's done a great job with our forwards, but also our ability to shift the ball and move the ball effectively and get high quality inside 50s. And that's been something, even when we've been beaten earlier in the season, that we're still to a pretty high level, able to generate a high quality entry than what we ever have previously. And today, we had some really high quality entries, and we had some ones where we just had to fight and scrap. And I think if you looked at our forward 50, guys like Aidan Johnson, Tom Sparrow, Harrison Petty, the pressure and intensity that they're putting in and around the contest is making our team better. And so we want to have high quality entries, but we want to also maximise our dirty, sometimes ineffective entries.
How special was it for Clayton, especially, just to feel the love from the crowd? There's a nice moment when he kicked the goal, came off, and sort of embrace you, and the crowd's just really behind him.
Yeah, it's pretty special. He's been through a really tough time, and he's done a hell of a job to fight back. And the way he's living his life away from the club is pretty special to see. And I think the last phase, as we spoke about, was not only working on him the person, but working on him as a footballer and getting him back. But to see the love that our supporters are giving him, his teammates are giving him, and what he's giving our footy club, it's a pretty special bond that you're starting to see that's generated. And he, as a coach, you sit there and he's just so proud of the work that he's been able to do, and not only the work that he's been able to do, but the work the club's put into Clayton as well. And I think finally that our supporters have never wavered on him in terms of their belief in him, and we're starting to get the best version of Clayton again.
Did you free him up a little bit today in terms of compared to the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, we did. We had a sort of a different role for him today. Heaney's a pretty important player for Sydney, and we want to be a team that can adapt with those roles. And Viney's done it for a few weeks now. Oliver's done it for a few weeks, and today it was Trent Rivers' turn. And I thought the preparation was outstanding. He probably got away from us a little bit early. He ended up kicking 3, and he's a high-quality player. But we thought his influence around clearance and Rivers' ability to do the job, something will grow our team.
31 touches for clarity, but was the 12 tackles almost the most pleasing part of his game today?
When you see someone's strengths on show, and I think he had 7 in the first quarter, his ability to set the game up for us early in and around the ball was pretty special today.
About your centre clearance work, you got Bowie coming off the back, you got a lot of clearances out the front of the stoppage. Is it something you're working on to create those opportunities for much cleaner entries? Obviously you want them.
Yeah, it's probably a bit more not just stoppage, it's probably in our offensive play as well. We've made some personnel changes to the back half of the ground, obviously with Windsor. Jake Bowie's playing some exceptional footy, and Christian Salem is probably having his best year for many. And he's been quite underrated in terms of the year that he's having. And then we get Judd McVie back. So we've got some weapons in the back half of the ground that are starting to use the ball really effectively. So, yeah, clearance is one thing, but, I'm really loving the way that the backs are starting to use the footy.
How's Jake pull up after his first game back?
Yeah, look, he's fine. He hobbles naturally, so no concerns there. It was just great to have him back. It's the first game for the year that we've had May and Lever actually play together, and it's good to have the duo back together.
After the tough start you had to the year, is there real confidence and belief starting to grow in this? This team's obviously been there, done that before. Know what it takes to be successful at the pointy end. Is there belief starting to grow that, geez, we're now in this, heading into the second half of the season? We're
a different team. I wouldn't want to compare this team with the past, and I think it's really unfair. We're a completely new team, a different team, a younger team, and certainly different in the way that we're playing. But belief's certainly building. But we're not going to change our process away from not talking about outcome. It's just not helpful to anyone. And it certainly was incredibly helpful for us when we went talking about outcome when we were 0-5. So we just got to rock up on Monday or Tuesday and make sure we get that day right and get next week right.
How's Charlie Spargo?
Yeah, he's fine. So he passed his HIA, which is great, for Charlie. We'll assess him as the week goes on. But I think you saw the system in play today. The doc was out there trying to get an assessment done on field, didn't quite find that we had enough time. So we had the ability to stop the game to try and get him off to make that assessment, really clear. And I think as an industry we're growing in that space. And today was another great example of that. He had the time off. He passed his HIA. Clearly we subbed him out because with a 15-minute HIA, it was the perfect time to get the sub onto the ground. So we're glad that he's got through it so far.
So he's okay, because he was obviously his neck, and it was, I don't know how big a hit, but it seemed a reasonably big hit.
Yeah, look, he seems fine. He's in the locker room with the lads and smiling and having a few photos together.
Where's Jack Varney at in terms of the trip to Darwin next weekend?
Yeah, look, he trained fully today. Did a really good load today. He's been slowly working his way through the protocols. As I said, individually everyone's different how they work through them. Jack's been a little bit slower, but we're really confident that the way he went today, hopefully he pulls up well tomorrow, that he'll be available heading to Alice next week.
We have a little interest in the mid-season draft this week, or nothing to have a look at it?
We haven't got a spot at the moment, but based off today, I don't think we have one, so we probably won't.
Any other injuries, Tay, or just all?
We're all clear.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Bruce.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, thank you.